Tonight, we unveil the untold stories behind the iconic 1956 epic, The Ten Commandments, a film that brought together some of Hollywood's biggest names, each with a story more fascinating than the last. Stay with us, because what you're about to discover will leave you speechless. Charlton Heston, the formidable force behind Moses, was just 33 when he delivered one of the most unforgettable performances in cinematic history. His commanding presence made him a legend, but few knew the struggles he faced off-camera. Decades later, after a career spanning epics like Ben-Hur and Planet of the Apes, Heston's battle with Alzheimer's cast a tragic shadow over his final years. From leading revolutions on screen to fighting a personal war against time, his journey remains nothing short of extraordinary. Then there was Yul Brynner, the man who made bald look iconic. At 36, he ruled the screen as the proud and unyielding Pharaoh Ramses, his presence as sharp as the swords of ancient Egypt. But fame came with its price. Brynner, a force of nature in Hollywood, spent years under the spotlight, only to later deliver a shocking message from beyond the grave. His haunting anti-smoking PSA, filmed before his death, served as a chilling warning. Once the mighty ruler of Egypt on screen, he became a powerful voice against the very thing that ultimately took his life. Anne Baxter's portrayal of Nefertari was the epitome of fiery passion and heartbreak. At 33, she dazzled audiences with her magnetic performance, but her career was not without its struggles. From the highs of winning an Academy Award to the unpredictable tides of Hollywood, Baxter's life mirrored the drama of the roles she played. Even in her later years, when television welcomed her with open arms, fate had one final, unexpected twist in store, one that no one saw coming. Edward G. Robinson, the master of playing tough guys, was 63 when he stepped into the role of Dathan, the deceitful overseer willing to betray his own people for power. But Robinson's real-life battle wasn't against pharaohs or plagues. It was against the Hollywood blacklist. Branded and shunned during the McCarthy era, he clawed his way back into the industry, proving that resilience is sometimes the greatest performance of all. Just before his passing, Hollywood finally acknowledged what audiences had known all along: he was a legend. Yvonne De Carlo, the stunning star behind Sephora, Moses' devoted wife, was 34 when she brought warmth and strength to the character. But her life was far more complex than the graceful roles she played. Before she was known as the elegant queen of biblical epics, she was Hollywood's favorite femme fatale. And later, she shocked everyone when she stepped into the shoes of an entirely different kind of character, Lily Munster. A woman of reinvention, De Carlo proved that stars don't fade, they transform. Deborah Paget, the delicate yet fierce Lilia, was just 23 when she portrayed the enslaved beauty torn between love and oppression. But behind her angelic face was a career filled with dramatic turns, from starring alongside Elvis Presley to stepping away from Hollywood at the height of her fame. What made one of the most captivating actresses of her era suddenly disappear from the spotlight? The truth behind her retreat is as mysterious as the characters she once played. John Derek, the dashing hero Joshua, was 30 when he stood beside Moses, fighting for freedom. But it wasn't just his on-screen presence that kept audiences mesmerized, it was his life off-screen that was the real Hollywood saga. From acting to directing to shaping the careers of some of the most beautiful women in film history, Derek's legacy extended far beyond his own performances. But was his influence a guiding hand or a controlling force? The answer lies in the stories of those he mentored. Sir Cedric Hardwicke, the wise pharaoh Sethi, ruled not just in the Ten Commandments, but in Hollywood itself. At 63, he was already a legend, a knighted actor whose voice carried the weight of Shakespearean grandeur. But even kings and knights are not immune to time. His final years were marked by a quiet dignity, his legacy sealed in the annals of classic cinema. And then there's Nina Foch, the compassionate Egyptian princess Bithiah, who defied the will of Pharaoh to save an infant Moses. At 32, she embodied grace and defiance, but her own story was just as compelling. A Dutch-born actress who found success in Hollywood, she later became one of the industry's most respected acting coaches. Time has a way of reshaping legacies, but some Hollywood icons never fade. Martha Scott, the woman who brought Yoshibal to life in the Ten Commandments, wasn't just an actress. She was a storyteller who gave her heart to the craft. Beyond the cameras, she became a film professor at the University of Southern California, shaping the next generation of filmmakers. Her impact was immeasurable, yet her name often gets lost in the glitz of modern Hollywood. But can you imagine a world where her performances never existed? She wasn't just an actress. She was a pillar of Hollywood's golden age, leaving behind a legacy that still lingers in the hearts of those who appreciate classic cinema. Then there was Judith Anderson, the woman behind Memnet, a character torn between loyalty and secrecy. Anderson wasn't just a character actress, she was a force of nature. Her chilling portrayal of Mrs. Danvers in Rebecca earned her an Academy Award nomination, and her powerful stage presence made her a legend in Shakespearean theater. But despite her commanding talent, Hollywood has a way of letting even the greatest slip into the shadows. If she were alive today, would the industry still recognize her brilliance, or would she be another forgotten name in an ever-changing sea of stars? And what about Vincent Price? Known for his menacing turn as Baca, he built his career as a horror icon, his deep, velvety voice haunting audiences for decades. House of Wax, The Fly, The Pit, and The Pendulum. His chilling performances are still celebrated, but few remember his love for art and cuisine. A man of many passions, he wrote books, collected art, and even lent his voice to Michael Jackson's Thriller. Yet, despite his immense influence on cinema, one question remains: why do legends like him slowly fade from the public eye? John Carradine, who played Aaron, was another towering figure in Hollywood's history, appearing in over 300 films. His gaunt features and distinctive voice made him a staple of classic horror and historical dramas. But his legacy didn't stop with him. His sons, David and Keith Carradine, carried on the family tradition, making their own marks in Hollywood. Even so, the name Carradine is often whispered in conversations about the past, rather than shouted in present-day celebrations. Is this the inevitable fate of Hollywood legends, to be revered only in nostalgia? Olive Dearing, who embodied the strength and faith of Miriam, left a quieter yet profound mark on the industry. With a career that spanned theater, film, and television, she brought an emotional depth to every role she touched. But, like so many before her, her impact was overshadowed by the ever-revolving door of Hollywood's next big thing. It begs the question, how many incredible performers are we forgetting as new stars rise? Douglas Dumbrille, the scheming priest Yannis, was a master of playing corrupt politicians and smooth-talking villains. With his deep voice and undeniable screen presence, he was unforgettable in films like Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. But his name, like so many from his era, has faded. Why do Hollywood's greatest character actors often slip through the cracks, their contributions reduced to mere footnotes in history? Henry Wilcoxon, the noble Egyptian officer Pentor, was a favorite of director Cecil B. DeMille, starring in epic films like Cleopatra and The Crusades. His commanding presence made him perfect for historical dramas, yet his contributions behind the scenes as an associate producer are often overlooked. In an industry that thrives on reinvention, how many actors like Wilcoxon are remembered for their full body of work rather than just one defining role? Edward Franz, who played the wise Jethro, built a distinguished career in both film and television, yet he, too, remains a name that only dedicated classic film fans recall. With roles in Perry Mason and the FBI, he was a familiar face, but familiarity doesn't always guarantee remembrance. How many legendary supporting actors have been lost to time simply because they weren't leading men? These actors shaped Hollywood's golden age, yet their legacies walk a fine line between reverence and obscurity. As time moves forward, it's up to film lovers to keep their stories alive. Their talent, dedication, and contributions to cinema deserve more than a fading memory. They deserve to be celebrated. So before you move on to the next blockbuster, take a moment to remember the stars who paved the way. Because Hollywood's history isn't just about those who shine today, it's about the legends who built the foundation for what we now call cinematic greatness. If you love uncovering Hollywood's past and want more stories like these, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for our next deep dive into cinema's forgotten icons.